Deuteronomy chapters 11 through 13. Therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and shalt observe his appointments, and his ordinances, and his commandments, and his judgments, always. And ye shall know this day, for I speak not to your children, who know not and have not seen the discipline of the Lord thy God, and his wonderful works, and his strong hand, and his high arm, and his miracles, and his wonders, which he brought in the midst of Egypt, on Pharaoh king of Egypt, and all his land, and what he did to the host of the Egyptians, and to their chariots, and to their cavalry, and their host, how he made the water the Red Sea to overwhelm the face of them, as they pursued after you, and the Lord destroyed them until this day. And all the things which he did to you in the wilderness, until ye came to this place. And all things that he did to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, whom the earth opening her mouth swallowed up, and their houses, and their tents, and all their substance that was with them, in the midst of all Israel. For your eyes have seen all the mighty works of the Lord, which he wrought among you today. And ye shall keep all his commandments, as many as I command thee today, that ye may live and be multiplied, and that ye may go in and inherit the land, into which ye go across Jordan to inherit it. Ye may live long upon the land, which the Lord sware to your fathers, to give to them, and to their seed after them, a land flowing with milk and honey. For the land into which thou goest to inherit it, it is not as the land of Egypt, whence ye came out, whensoever they sow the seed, and water it with their feet, as a garden of herbs. But the land into which thou goest to inherit it is a land of mountains and plains. It shall drink water on the rain of heaven. A land which the Lord God surveys continually. The eyes of the Lord of thy God are upon it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Now if ye will indeed hearken to all the commandments which I charge thee this day, to love the Lord thy God, and to serve him with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, then he shall give to thy land the early and the latter rain in its season, and thou shalt bring in thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil. Ye shall give food in thy fields to thy cattle. And when thou hast eaten and art full, take heed to thyself that thy heart be not puffed up, and ye transgress and serve other gods and worship them. And the Lord be angry with you, and restrain the heaven, and there shall not be rain, and the earth shall not yield its fruit. And ye shall perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord has given you. And ye shall store these words in your heart and in your soul, and ye shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and shall be fixed before your eyes. Ye shall teach them to your children, so as to speak about them when thou sittest in the house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou sleepest, and when thou risest up. Ye shall write them on the lintels of your houses and on your gates, that your days may be long, and the days of your children upon the land which the Lord sware to your fathers to give to them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. And it shall come to pass, that if ye will indeed hearken to all these commands, which I charge thee to observe this day, to love the Lord our God, and to walk in all his ways, and to cleave close to him, and the Lord shall cast out all his nations before you, and ye shall inherit great nations and stronger than yourselves. Every place whereon the sole of your foot shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Anti-Libanus, and from the great river, the river Euphrates, even as far as the west sea shall be your coast. No one shall stand before you, and the Lord your God will put fear of you and the dread of you on the face of all the land, on which ye shall tread, as he told you. Behold, I set before you this day the blessing and the curse. The blessing, if ye hearken to the commands of the Lord your God, all that I command you this day, and the curse, if ye do not hearken to the commands of the Lord our God, as many as I command you this day, and ye wander from the way which I have commanded you, having gone to serve other gods which ye know not. And it shall come to pass when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land into which thou goest over to inherit it. Then thou shalt put blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Gebal. Lo, are not these beyond Jordan, behind, westward in the land of Canaan, which lies westward near Gogol, by the high oak? For ye are passing over Jordan to go in and inherit the land, which the Lord our God gives you to inherit always, and ye shall dwell in it. Ye shall take heed and do all his ordinances, and these judgments, as many as I set before you today. And these are the ordinances and the judgments which ye shall observe to do in this land, which the Lord, the God of your fathers, gives you for an inheritance, all the days which ye live upon the land. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places in which they serve their gods, whose land ye inherit, on the high mountains, and on the hills, and under the thick tree. And ye shall destroy their altars, and break in pieces their pillars, and ye shall cut down their groves, and ye shall burn with fire the graven images of their gods, and ye shall abolish their name out of that place. Ye shall not do so to the Lord your God, but in a place which the Lord thy God shall choose in one of your cities to name his name there, and to be called upon, ye shall even seek him out and go thither. And ye shall carry thither your whole burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your first fruits, and your vowed offerings, and your freewill offerings, and your offerings of thanksgiving, the firstborn of your herds, and of your flocks. And ye shall eat there before the Lord your God. And ye shall rejoice in all the things on which ye shall lay your hand, ye and your houses, as the Lord your God has blessed you. Ye shall not do altogether as we do here today, every man that which is pleasing in his own sight. For hitherto ye have not arrived at the rest and the inheritance which the Lord our God gives you. And ye shall go over Jordan, and shall dwell in the land, which the Lord our God takes as an inheritance for you. And he shall give you rest from all your enemies round about, and ye shall dwell safely. And there shall be a place which the Lord thy God shall choose for his name to be called there. Thither shall you bring all the things that I order you today, your whole burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and the first fruits of your hands, and every choice gift of yours, whatsoever ye shall vow to the Lord your God. Ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God, ye and your sons, and your daughters, and your menservants, and your maidservants, and the Levite that is at your gates, because he has no portion or inheritance with you. Take heed to thyself that thou offer not thy whole burnt offerings in any place which thou shalt see, save in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. In one of thy tribes there shall ye offer your whole burnt offerings, and there shalt thou do all things whatsoever I charge thee this day. But thou shalt kill according to all thy desire, and shalt eat flesh according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he has given thee in every city, the unclean that is within thee, and the clean shall eat it on equal terms, as the doe or the stag. Only ye shall not eat the blood, which ye shall pour it out on the ground as water. Thou shalt not be able to eat in thy cities the tithe of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thine oil, the firstborn of thine herd, and of thy flock, and all your vows, as many as ye have vowed, and your thank offerings, and the first fruits of thine hands. Before the Lord thy God thou shalt eat it in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose for himself, thou and thy son and thy daughter, thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the stranger that is within thy gates, and thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God on whatsoever thou shalt lay thine hand. Take heed to thyself that thou do not desert the Levite all the time that thou livest upon the earth. And if the Lord thy God shall enlarge thy borders, as he said to thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, if thy soul should desire to eat flesh, thou shalt eat flesh according to all the desire of thy soul. And if the place be far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose for himself, that his name be called upon, then shalt thou kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which God shall have given thee, even as I commanded thee, and thou shalt eat in thy cities according to the desire of thy soul. As the doe and the stag are eaten, so shalt thou eat it. The unclean in thee and the clean shall eat it in like manner. Take diligent heed that thou eat no blood, for blood is the life of it. The life shall not be eaten with the flesh. Ye shall not eat it. Ye shall pour it out on the ground as water. Thou shalt not eat it, that it may be well with thee, and with thy sons after thee, if thou shalt do that which is good and pleasing before the Lord thy God. But thou shalt take thy holy things, if thou hast any, and thy vowed offerings, and come to the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to have his name named upon it. And thou shalt sacrifice thy whole burnt offerings. Thou shalt offer the flesh upon the altar of the Lord thy God. But the blood of thy sacrifices thou shalt pour out at the foot of the altar of the Lord thy God. But the flesh thou shalt eat. Beware, and hearken, and thou shalt do all the commands which I charge thee, that it may be well with thee, and with thy sons forever, if thou shalt do that which is pleasing and good before the Lord thy God. And if the Lord thy God shall utterly destroy the nations, to whom thou goest in thither to inherit their land, from before thee, and thou shalt inherit it, and dwell in their land, take heed to thyself that thou seek not to follow them after they are destroyed before thee, saying, How do these nations act towards their gods? I will do likewise. Thou shalt not do so to thy God. For they have sacrificed to their gods the abominations of the Lord, which he hates. For they burn their sons and their daughters in fire to their gods. Every word that I command you this day, it shalt thou observe to do. Thou shalt not add to it, nor diminish from it. And if there arise within thee a prophet, or one who dreams a dream, and he gives thee a sign or wonder, and the sign or wonder come to pass, which he spoke to thee, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which ye know not, ye shall not hearken to the words of that prophet, or the dreamer of that dream, because the Lord thy God tries you, to know whether ye love your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall follow the Lord your God, and fear him, and ye shall hear his voice, and attach yourselves to him. And that prophet or dreamer of a dream shall die, For he has spoken to make thee heir from the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, who redeemed thee from bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou abolish the evil from among you. And if thy brother by thy father or mother, or thy son or daughter, or thy wife in thy bosom, or friend who is equal to thine own soul, entreat thee secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, the gods of the nations that are round about you, who are near thee or at a distance from thee, from one end of the earth to the other, thou shalt not consent to him, neither shalt thou hearken to him, and thine eye shall not spare him. Thou shalt feel no regret for him, neither shalt thou at all protect him. Thou shalt surely report concerning him, and thy hand shall be upon him among the first to slay him, and the hands of all the people at the last. And they shall stone him with stones, and he shall die, because he sought to draw thee away from the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall not again do according to this evil thing among you. And if in one of thy cities which the Lord God gives thee to dwell therein, thou shalt hear men saying, Evil men have gone out from you, and have caused all the inhabitants of their land to fall away, saying, Let us go and worship other gods, whom ye know not. Then shalt thou inquire, and ask, and search diligently, and behold, if the thing is clearly true, and this abomination has taken place among you, thou shalt utterly destroy all the dwellers in that land with the edge of the sword. You shall solemnly curse it, and all things in it. And all its spoils thou shalt gather into its public ways, and thou shalt burn the city with fire, and all its spoils publicly before the Lord thy God. And it shall be uninhabited forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall nothing of the cursed thing cleave to thy hand, that the Lord may turn from his fierce anger, and show thee mercy, and pity thee, and multiply thee, as he swore to thy fathers. If thou wilt hear the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments, all that I charge thee this day, to do that which is good and pleasing before the Lord thy God. Psalm 56, 57 in Hebrew. For the end, destroy not, by David, for memorial, when he fled from the presence of Saul to the cave. Have mercy upon me, O God, have mercy upon me. For my soul has trusted in thee, and in the shadow of thy wings will I hope, until the iniquity have passed away. I will cry to God Most High, the God who has benefited me. Pause. He sent from heaven and saved me. He gave me reproach them that trampled on me. God has sent forth his mercy and his truth, and he has delivered my soul from the midst of lions as whelps. I lay down to sleep, though troubled. As for the sons of men, their teeth are arms and missile weapons, and their tongue a sharp sword. Be thou exalted, O God, above the heavens, and thy glory above all the earth. They have prepared snares for my feet, and have bowed down my soul. They have dug a pit before my face, and fallen into it themselves. Pause. My heart, O God, is ready. My heart is ready. I will sing, yea, I will sing psalms. Awake, my glory, awake, psaltery and harp. I will wake early. O Lord, I will give thanks to thee among the nations. I will sing to thee among the Gentiles. For thy mercy has been magnified even to the heavens, and thy truth to the clouds. Be thou exalted, O God, above the heavens, and thy glory above all the earth. Proverbs chapter 11, verses 27 through 31. He that devises good counsel seeks good favor, but as for him that seeks after evil, evil shall overtake him. He that trusts in wealth shall fall, but he that helps righteous men shall rise. He that deals not graciously with his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise man. Out of the fruit of righteousness grows a tree of life, but the souls of transgressors are cut off before their time. If the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? The Holy Gospel according to St. Mark, chapter 9, verses 2 through 29. And after 6 days Jesus taketh with him Peter and James and John, and leadeth them up into a high mountain apart by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. And his raiment became shining, exceeding white as snow, so as no fuller on earth can white them. And there appeared unto them Elias with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. And Peter answered and said to Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. For he wist not what to say, for they were sore afraid. There was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And suddenly, when they had looked round about, they saw no man any more, save Jesus only with themselves. As they came down from the mountain, he charged them that they should tell no man what things they had seen, till the Son of Man were risen from the dead. And they kept that saying with themselves, questioning one another what the rising from the dead should mean. And they asked him, saying, Why say the scribes that Elias must first come? And he answered and told them, Elias verily cometh first, and restoreth all things, and how it is written of the Son of Man, that he must suffer many things, and be set at naught. But I say unto you, that Elias is indeed come, and they have done unto him whatsoever they listed, as it is written of him. And when he came to his disciples, he saw a great multitude about them, and the scribes questioning with them. And straightway all the people, when they beheld him, were greatly amazed, and running to him saluted him. And he asked the scribes, What question ye with them? And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth, and he gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. And I spake to the disciples, that they should cast him out, and they could not. He answereth him, and saith, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me. And they brought him unto him, and when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him, and he fell on the ground, and wallowed, foaming. And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came unto him? And he said, Of a child. And ofttimes it hath cast him into the fire, and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us, and help us. Jesus saith unto him, If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out, and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. And the spirit cried and rent him sore, and came out of him. And he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why could not we cast him out? He said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing, but by prayer and fasting.